If you feel the need to argue, you've already lost composure. Not because you're wrong, because you're activated. And activated men don't lead, they react. Most arguments don't begin with words, they begin in the body. Someone challenges you publicly, privately, subtly, directly. And before you ever open your mouth, your nervous system has already decided something is happening. Your heart rate increases, your breathing shortens, your jaw tightens, your tone prepares to sharpen. You feel heat rise in your chest. That's not conviction, that's activation. And most men mistake activation for strength. They think intensity equals power. It doesn't. It equals reactivity. There's a difference between discussion, debate, disagreement, and argument. Discussion is exploration. Debate is structured contrast. Disagreement is normal. Argument is escalation. Argument is what happens when ego attaches to the outcome. The moment your voice rises, the moment you feel urgency, the moment you need to win, you've crossed the line from authority into reaction. And reaction is surrender. Let me say that clearly. If someone can bait you into an argument, they control your nervous system. And if they control your nervous system, they control the room. Most men call arguing standing their ground. They say, I'm not backing down. I'm holding my frame. I won't let that slide. But if you're emotionally charged, you're not holding anything. You're leaking. Authority doesn't raise its voice to be heard. Authority lowers its voice and shortens its sentences. Authority does not rush to finish. Authority does not chase resolution. Authority states, and then it observes. Calm men don't argue, they assess. Let's strip that down further. Men argue when they feel something underneath: disrespected, overlooked, incorrect, small, exposed. Exposure is the real trigger. Exposure feels like humiliation. Humiliation feels like loss of hierarchy. And the nervous system does not like hierarchy loss. So it prepares you for social combat. Adrenaline spikes, your breath shortens, you lean forward, your words accelerate. Now, here's the dangerous mistake: you interpret that activation as righteousness. You think, I care deeply about this. I'm passionate. I'm standing up for myself or others. But if your breathing changed, if your tone shifted, if your body heated, you were hooked. Intensity is not dominance, it's a biological response. Dominance is being activated and choosing not to escalate. That's discipline, and discipline is quiet. There was a meeting once, corporate, multiple state leaders. My boss was present. Energy was tight that day. You could feel it. She attempted to pull me into an argument publicly. Tone sharpened, language pushed, the subtle edge that invites escalation. I felt the activation in my body, that familiar heat, that tightening. And in that moment, I had a choice: escalate or regulate. I regulated. Short sentences, neutral tone, no emotional energy. I let it pass. The meeting continued. Was it tense? Absolutely. Was it clean? Yes. Did it aggravate her that I did not argue with her? 100%. That evening, it happened again. More pointed, more direct. And that time, I argued. My tone elevated, emotions entered, my words sharpened. It escalated quickly, and it became an HR nightmare. Not because either of us were wrong, because neither of us were regulated. Two activated people cannot produce clarity, they produce fallout. That's the lesson. If you argue with someone who has already escalated, you inherit their instability. You enter their nervous system. You step into their chaos. Calm men don't enter chaos, they observe it and decide if engagement serves strategy. Most men believe winning an argument equals strength. It doesn't. Winning an argument while losing composure is not winning, it's exposure. If your goal is leadership, argument is a poor strategy. Leadership is not about being right in the moment, it's about being stable in the moment. So ask yourself something hard. When someone disagrees with you publicly, do you actually need to correct them? Or do you need to feel intact? Those are not the same thing. The need to be right immediately is often ego-seeking validation. Ego is urgent. Masculinity is patient. Ego says, they can't talk to me like that. I need to shut this down. I won't be disrespected. Masculinity says, I see what's happening. This doesn't threaten me. I can respond on my timeline. If you argue often, your ego and your identity are too entangled. You feel disagreement as a personal attack. And if disagreement feels like a threat, your foundation is unstable. That's not criticism. This is clarity. Calm men separate ego from strategy. They recognize activation. They don't obey it. So let's talk about what arguing actually costs you. Because most men think arguments are harmless. They aren't. Arguments leave residue. In relationships, arguing creates micro fractures. Even if you win, even if the other person concedes, even if the issue gets resolved, the body remembers your tone, your edge, your tension. It lingers. And over time, those lingering tensions accumulate. Distance grows, trust shifts, energy changes. You may forget what was said, but the nervous system never forgets how it felt. In professional environments, arguing creates reputation. You might be competent, you might be intelligent, you might even be correct. But if you're reactive, you become categorized. Difficult, emotional, high ego, unpredictable. Organizations don't promote volatility, they promote stability. Leadership is given to the man who steadies pressure, not the man who escalates under it. And arguing trains you to escalate. There's also the internal cost. Every time you argue, you reinforce activation. Your nervous system learns escalation is normal. Your baseline shifts upwards. You become quicker to react, quicker to defend, quicker to push. Soon, you don't even recognize that you're doing it. It feels like personality. It's conditioning. Calm men don't argue because they understand compounding costs. They think long term. Weak men think in the moment. Strong men think beyond it. Let's make this practical because calm is not personality, it's training. If you want to stop arguing, you have to interrupt activation early. Step one, notice your body. When someone challenges you, scan internally. Is your heart racing? Is your breathing shallow? Are your shoulders tightening? The moment you feel physical shift, you're at the fork in the road. Escalate or regulate. Step two, lower your voice intentionally, even if it feels unnatural. When challenge hits, most men raise tone slightly. Don't. Lower it. Lower volume commands attention. Higher volume invites combat. Step three, use fewer words. Argument, multiply language. Authority reduces it. Instead of explaining your position in paragraphs, say, I disagree. That's inaccurate. We see this differently. Then stop. Silence is uncomfortable, but silence reveals. When you reduce your word count, you remove emotional leakage. Step four, stretch response time. Count 3 seconds before responding. Always. Those 3 seconds will save you more conflict than any communication tactic. Activation thrives on speed. Calm slows tempo. Step five, detach from immediate resolution. Ask yourself, does this need to be resolved right now? Most of the time, the answer is no. Urgency is ego. Calm is strategic patience. Step six, decide your goal. Are you trying to win or are you trying to lead? Leadership does not require you to crush opposition. It requires you to remain stable under it. There's another layer most men don't admit. Arguing can feel addictive. Adrenaline feels powerful. Raising your voice and being heard feels dominant. Winning feels validating. But that validation is short lived because it depends on reaction. If your masculinity requires reaction to feel strong, it is not stable. It's stimulus dependent. Calm dominance is different. It doesn't require spikes, doesn't require witnesses, it doesn't require escalation. It feels steady. Almost boring at first because you're not feeding adrenaline. You're not chasing confrontation. You're not trying to secure status through volume. And that boredom, that's discipline settling in. Stay there. That's leadership territory. Let's clarify something important. Calm is not suppression. Calm is not silent compliance. Calm is not burying emotion. Suppression says, I'm angry, but I will swallow it. Regulation says, I feel activation, and I choose my response. Suppression builds resentment. Resentment leaks later. Regulation builds authority. If you need to address something, address it directly, without audience, without theatrics, without escalation. Leadership corrects privately. Immaturity escalates publicly. You have to decide which one you want to embody. Here's the hidden hierarchy principle most men don't see. Hierarchy in most rooms is not won through dominance. It's granted through stability. When tension rises in a room, everyone's nervous system shifts slightly. People scan subconsciously. Who is calm? Who is steady? Who's not flinching? The calmest nervous system becomes the center, not because he declared it, but because stability attracts orientation. If two men argue loudly, neither gains authority. But if one man remains measured, the room orients towards him. People instinctively trust stability. They distrust volatility. That's biology. If you argue frequently, you're characterized as unpredictable. If you remain calm under pressure, you're characterized as safe. And leadership always goes to the man who is safe under pressure. Safe does not mean soft, though. It means controlled. You cannot fake controlled, because under activation, your body betrays you unless you have trained it. So let's take this inward. When you stop arguing, something shifts internally. You conserve energy. Arguments are expensive, emotionally expensive, mentally expensive, psychologically expensive. Regulation conserves. You think clearer, you sleep better, you don't replay escalations in your head at 2 a.m., you don't mentally relitigate conversations, you don't fantasize about what you should have said. You chose once, you remained steady, and you moved on. That is sovereignty, not dominance. Sovereignty. There's the difference. Dominance seeks control over others. Sovereignty governs self. And calm men pursue sovereignty. Let's bring this home. If your masculinity requires argument, it's ego. If someone can raise your volume, they control you. If someone can bait you, they lead you. That's not strength. That's dependence on external triggers. Strength is optional engagement. Strength is saying one sentence and letting it land. Strength is being misunderstood temporarily and not scrambling to correct it emotionally. Strength is walking away without performance. Strength is silence without anxiety. Measure your growth as the man this way. Not by how many arguments you win, but how many you don't enter. Because no one remembers argument victories, but everyone remembers composure. And if you need me to argue with you to feel validated, I'm not your opponent. I'm your mirror. Secure men don't argue, they decide. I'm Chris Willingham, and this is Without Permission.